Welcome to the apex of sports ownership, the Apex Athletic Collective.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 84 of Instigate Success, Building an ABA Franchise. I am your host, as always, Jake Schoen, aka Jakeymuffins, here, the official podcast of the Hoosier State Instigators, the Apex Athletic Collective. Tonight's episode, we'll be going over a little bit of a recap from last week's episode. If you didn't get a chance to catch it, I had one of our other co-owners and former Hoosier State Instigators coach, Frosty, last week, and we went over the season. So our season 2 is at an end at this point, and we are heading into the off-season mode. We'll be having votes out here soon. And again, if you're not already a Patreon member, thank you to everyone who is a Patreon member. I think we are up to 150 now. I'll have to get that graphic updated. I know I said once we hit that 150 mark, I'll have to do that. So hopefully next week I have that graphic already, and then we can get that up here as well. But here's the little ticker at the bottom. So we'll be having these some votes up here soon for the off season, but to do those votes, you have to be one of the fan voters or higher for the tiers on the Patreon. And you can go to that link right down there, patreon.com/Apex Athletic Collective, and you can subscribe at that fan voter or higher tier. You'll get access to these fan votes that are coming up here shortly once we hit that our full off-season mode. And in those votes, we'll be having things such as player evaluations, coach evaluations, things that you're looking forward to, and things you want to see us improve upon. You'll also be able to give us an idea of how you want the roster and the team to be shaped for next season. And these are crucial votes that we really do consider. It's the same exact vote and the same weight that all of us on the ownership group have. So those votes all get pooled together, and then we review those. And it's the same thing we did last season when it comes to that. Obviously, there is some fluidity within situations. We do try our best to take what we have as far as feedback goes and use that to shape our future and the upcoming season. So I know we had different levels of what you had as far as opinions for players. I think we had like definitely keep, would like to keep, kind of like an indifferent one, and then kind of like a maybe not next time, something along the lines of that. But everybody that was a part of the roster this year, we're always thankful to everyone who's a part of the Instigators, and we leave that to the fans as far as player evaluations. And ultimately that is one of the key factors of the Apex Athletic Collective, is having that fan input. We had the fans man this year. It worked for a bit, and then we got a little short on the roster with all the situations going on. So, but that's something we'd like to get back for next season. Obviously, each year we want to continue to improve, but it all starts with those player evaluations, and then we'll have coach evaluations as well. Here shortly over on our Patreon, and this is a different type of coach evaluation. So last season, if you remember, our coach evaluation was more so what you wanted to see in a coach, because Frosty was wound up finishing out the season as the coach. This time, it's actually going to be a true coach evaluation, with us having a coach that endured the whole tenure for this season, Coach Dobbs. And I'll throw that graphic up again just so we take a quick look at that. As far as how we finished the season, our results from the season. And I'll put myself back over there. So this was our first season we ever had a winning record. So that was something to be proud of to start off the season. And also the first time we got ourselves in the power rankings. And again, we went into more detail as far as, some of the more details of the season last week's episode, which if you didn't get a chance to catch it, I do recommend you go ahead and rewatch that. And I think all these should be up on YouTube if you get a chance to go over there to watch them and subscribe. But after those first 2 games, we were up to number 16, the highest that we've ever been ranked. First time we were ranked after that first weeks of games. And I think that puts us on notice for the next season, our third season, once that comes around, knowing that when we go on a win streak and we start off the season with wins, we are a team that can be ranked, and I think might play a little bit of a key into maybe some of our early game scheduling, but we'll see on that. But I think that is something to at least know in the back of our mind, is we are definitely a team that people have their eyes on, and if we're able to have that winning record, we are a team that can be ranked. We also had our first win and then wins against ranked teams this season. That one up there against the Aces, a 2-point victory there. A top 10 team. And then same with the Lions there, another 2-point victory. And that was, the first time, and then the second time that we beat teams that had themselves in those power rankings. We've always been able to play close with those teams, but the first time we were actually able to fully execute and get that victory under our belts for those matchups. So again, that just shows we are one of those teams that at any given time we can be in those power rankings, the top 25 rankings, and we can compete with the very top teams as well. We played the Fury twice, 2 losses, a road and a home game, but both of those games were 10-point matchups, and the Fury are in the championship round. They'll be going to St. Louis, I think next weekend, and they are the favorites. They're the defending champions. They have not lost a game since last season, and they are the number 1 seeds going into the championships this week. This upcoming championship weekend, next weekend, and that's a top team. I think that's the team that everyone's going to have as far as it goes to compare themselves, and that is it's cool to see that we always are able to keep up with them, and teams that we consistently try to keep up with, like the Fury, the Lions, and again we got our first win against the Lions, the Aces, teams that we've played a lot. The Kings are another team though we have not yet been able to defeat, and then always nice to have games against the Legends, another team that's in Indiana. And then we actually had the sweep of the games as far as the opponents we played in Indiana this year, which gives us a little bit of bragging rights. But we will see. Talking about the off season, there's obviously going to be some discussions when it comes to conferences and divisions and whatnot, and there always seems to be some kind of realignments. Or a little bit of rearrangements within the ABA with how large the team pool is. And last season 1, we were in the red division. This past season, we were in the black division. It'll be interesting to see if we stay in the same division, if we get realigned again. But that's another thing to keep an eye on. Obviously, the red division, we were more centralized against teams. I think closer to that, like central Indiana, and then we had Ohio and Nashville. The red division this year was more out towards the Chicago area. Then we also had the team up in Wisconsin and Michigan, I think technically for a little bit, but that was the division we were in this past season. And and then even at the very end of the season, we saw a team get thrown into the division. So it's always a little bit of some fluidity there. But overall, we went on a little bit of a losing streak to end the year, finished with 7 wins, same as last season, and same end result as last season, falling in the game, the final play-in game before the before the actual playoffs. So, still looking to make our first actual playoff appearance. Something that is definitely going to be a key for us next season, to track as far as improvement goes. I think we definitely know we're capable of doing that, and we want to take that next step next season. Obviously, if we could finish in the top three of whatever division we are in, that is the easiest road to that. But we finished fourth this season. So it is something to keep an eye on and for us to track throughout the season. But definitely, if we can stay in that top three of whatever division, that's something we really are going to try to get taken care of next season. He also had another All ABA honors, second team All ABA, Malcolm Martin. So for our second consecutive year, a player on an All ABA team. So overall, some positives for the second season. And again, we had that recap last week's episode. If you didn't get a chance, go ahead and catch that. But we'll be going into the off-season mode here shortly, and we'll have those votes up here over on the Patreon for you guys soon. So let's take a look over at the games from the ABA playoffs that have been going on since last week. We went more on that recap. We'll go over some of the games that took place last weekend or the weekend prior, and take a look at who is still remaining and who is going to championship weekend next weekend in St. Louis. So let's jump over there. And let's jump over to the My Stats portal, and then we'll go and look at some of the graphics we got for the ABA. Let's try reconnecting that. I'll refresh that browser. All right, looks like it's going through this time. All right, so we got the My Stats portal up here. I just got the next 15 days. So going back to March 15th and 16th, the last 2 days of most of the games within the ABA playoffs, we had. It's interesting. Some of these are not correct to my knowledge. Oh, maybe it is. Yeah. Okay. No, never mind. Never mind. I had it. That is correct. We had the Steel City Yellow Jackets against the Chicago Fury there. A 14-point victory for the Fury in that matchup. And then we had an interesting situation here where the Aces and the Lions replayed the final 10 seconds of that matchup. And again, there's a little bit of a controversy there as far as what happened, but the ABA ultimately ruled for them to replay the last 10 seconds of the game. That game then went into overtime. The overtime was played by the correct overtime rules. If you caught the original matchup there, it went to a 5-minute overtime, which again, that's not what it should have been. We've talked about this before. I think a lot of teams, obviously ourselves included, the overtime rules are a little bit different than traditional overtime rules, and it seems like a lot of times they get miscommunicated and not properly enforced. It is 3-10 and out, so a 3-minute overtime period. If there's a tie at that, then it goes to an elam ending. The next 10 wins the game. This one, instead of that 5-minute, they went into a 3-minute overtime period, and it ended with the Aces walking away with a 1-point victory, 116-115 victory, and that was off of a mid-court shot foul. So an interesting situation to end that one as well. you might want to play a little bit further off, as time expires. But there was a foul called, and the Aces hit 2 of those free throws, and ultimately won that game off of that. The Aces then went on to play the 402 Elite, and I'm jumping around here as far as this goes, but I'm doing the division or the region, and then I'll jump into the next region. Then the Aces went on to play the 402 Elite. They wound up going into overtime in that matchup as well. And again, it doesn't have it listed there, but those are both overtime matchups because I had a chance to catch them. But that wound up being a 138-131 victory for the 402 Elite. So then they would go on to face the Fury. And then I believe this is going to be your South region. We got the Austin Bats against the Atlanta Aliens. Aliens, a team that is consistently ranked in those top power rankings. Bats still undefeated, and they had a 105-101 victory. And then over in the South here as well, the Kissimmee Lambs and the Gulf Coast Gladiators. Kissimmee down here in Florida, but they fell to Gulf Coast by 7 with a 115-108 victory for the Gladiators. Over in the East, we had a matchup between the Buffalo Extreme, another one of the top ranked teams in the ABA, with a 117 victory to 95 over Wyoming Valley Clutch. Also out in the East, Jersey Express with a 119 over 87 victory against the New England Lightning. Then we moved on to Sunday, where these decided most of the remaining champions as far as the regions went. In our region, the Central region, Chicago Fury with a 113-98 victory over the 402 Elite. They again will be representing the Central region in the championship weekend as the number 1 seed, as the favorite this time going in. Out in the South, we had the Austin Bats against the Gulf Coast Gladiators. Bats also remain undefeated on the season, 130-118. Over in the East, we had the Buffalo Extreme with a 99-91 victory over Jersey Express. They will be representing the East this matchup, or this time around here in the championship weekend. They are a very talented team, and again, I know I mentioned that I do follow them, and I do try to catch some of their matchups as well. Howard Washington, one of their guards, went to Syracuse while I was in college there, so somebody that I've followed the career of a little bit. And definitely think that is a very talented team. And they do have, I think, 1 loss on their record against the Binghamton Bulldogs. That was the team that represented the East from last season. So another talented team. Ultimately, Bulldogs fell to the Extreme in this year's playoffs. But the Extreme, even though they'll have a loss going into these championship games, still a very, very talented team that is going to provide tough competition. Tucson Buckets took on the Guy Levy Legends, and this is out in the West. And the West was a little bit different, so they had the remaining 4 playing on that Sunday, and then the following week, which was last weekend, they had the final matchup to determine the winner of the region. So Legends took down the Buckets 103-91, and then the Silicon Valley Panthers, I believe they are also still undefeated on the season, wound up taking down the San Jose Wolfpack 152-130. Then last weekend on Sunday, the Legends took on the Panthers. Panthers with a 117-88 victory over the Legends. That shapes it, and that gives us our final 4. So the final 4 for your ABA representing the East is the Buffalo Extreme. They will take on the Silicon Valley Panthers at 3 o'clock on Friday, April 4th, and that is going to be next Friday. So a week from today. And I'm guessing those are accurate times, but it shows at 3 p.m., and I'm guessing it's Eastern. The Buffalo Extreme will be taking on the Silicon Valley Panthers. Um, and it'll be a East versus West matchup there. Then at 6, it looks like we got the Austin Bats taking on your Chicago Fury. Chicago Fury representing the Central region. Austin Bats down south, South versus Central there. And then winner of those respective games will then go on and match up against each other for the championship um, the following day, I do believe. But that is going to be a very fun weekend. Lots of good basketball. Those are four very good teams, very talented teams. And the Fury are going to be the favorite in my opinion. Obviously, they haven't lost in over a season at this point, and they're the defending champions, so you got to give them the favorite, I would say. But all four of those teams, I feel like, are very capable of pulling off a championship run. Obviously, the Bats, I think it'll show actually if I do this as far as the records for the teams. Bats are also undefeated on the season, 20 and 0 against the Fury, 20 and 0. So as far as the paper matchup goes, these are very close teams, and we'll pull up the power rankings here in a minute too. But I believe all these teams are going to be at the top of the power rankings when it comes to end of season rankings. And then we take a look at the Panthers and the Extreme. Panthers 20 and 0, so still undefeated. And the Extreme with one loss, and that one loss was against the Binghamton Bulldogs. So very, very talented teams here. Definitely some of the most competitive teams in the ABA, but definitely going to be a fun weekend of basketball. And what I wouldn't, like I said, I would not be surprised to see any of these teams walk away with a victory and the championship title. But again, I'm going to have to lean, if I have to pick one, towards the Chicago Fury, the defending champions. Um, and then, I mean, you could toss up any of the other ones there. Obviously the Panthers are undefeated. The Extreme do have that loss, so you may give a slight edge there to the Panthers, in my opinion. But again, as I said, I'm a little bit maybe of a homer towards Buffalo. I'm also closer or from that area, so I'm more familiar with that area. But it'll be a fun matchup regardless when it comes to those games next weekend. So we might have a little bit of some results by the time we start streaming here next week's episode. If we do, we'll share what we can and maybe take a sneak peek if there's any live footage. Jump up over there and see what we can pull. But that is what we had going on in the past couple of weeks in the ABA. And then let's take a look over here, over on the ABA website. So over on the ABA website here, you can see they've got the championship weekend graphics up with the Chicago Fury right there on the center. Capri up there on that display. April 4th through 6th, we'll have the final four games, or the game of the final four teams. We'll have the Celebrity All-Star Challenge Awards Luncheon, 3-on-3 tournament there, the 3-on-3 Nationals, ABA 3 Nationals, Ownership Summit, ABA All-Star Game, ABA Annual League Meeting, ABA Championship Game. And again, not knocking on the league, but last season, I think they had all of these things scheduled as well. I was there. I don't think some of them did happen to my knowledge, but I don't 100% know. Maybe I just wasn't in the loop for some of it. I do know we definitely did have the All-Star game and All-Star festivities, and then obviously the Final Four and the um, championship game. But I did not see a celebrity game. I don't know if there is going to actually be a celebrity game this time, but I did not see that last season, or maybe I missed it. But regardless, it'll be a fun weekend there in St. Louis, April 4th through 6th. And it looks like it'll be the 6th as the championship game at 2 p.m. So if we zoom in on this over here, here is the Final Four and the rankings that they gave as far as that goes. So Chicago Fury #1, I think we all expected them to be the #1 seed. Austin Bats, though, the #4 seed is a little bit interesting in my opinion. I think when we look at the power rankings, maybe that's where they got it from. But the Austin Bats were also undefeated on the season. So not a slight, maybe a little bit of a slight there. The Austin Bats giving them the #4 seed. When you have the Buffalo Extreme with one loss on the season, they get the #3 seed, and then the SVP Panthers, Silicon Valley Panthers, SVP, at the #2 seed. I definitely understand why the Panthers get the #2 seed, being another returning team from last season, and then also being undefeated. So I do understand the 1 and the 2. The 3 and the 4, I think, is maybe a little bit debatable. But Extreme definitely a very talented team, and I can see why you would have them ranked #3. But I just would think they go by the standings and the record of the season. But I think they went by power rankings instead, actually. And then we see there, and I mentioned Howard Washington. I think that is him right there in that graphic #2 for the Buffalo Extreme. You also get a cool look here as far as some of the jersey matchups that we will have. So the Fury there against the Austin Bats. We got a little bit more of like your solid colors here, and then we've got the Silicon Valley Panthers, more of a city line there, and then the Extreme looks like rocking the Under Armour jerseys. So that is what we got going on next Friday. It does look like 3 p.m. is that first matchup, then 6 p.m. for the second matchup. Winners of those go on for the championship the following. Not the following day. The day after that. So Friday, then it would be Sunday. Saturday, I think they're going to be doing the All-Star festivities. But Sunday will be the championship game. And this is being hosted in St. Louis, Missouri this year. It's at the St. Louis Community College in Forest Park, it looks like. And there is a link here to watch it live. It looks like that is going to be the live stream link. Possibly a membership might be required. But we'll see. I'll try to catch what I can next week, and if there is a membership required, I will let you guys know. But that is what we got coming up next weekend, and that is the championship weekend, the All-Star weekend, festivities, all that type of stuff going on. So it'll be the wrap as far as season 2 for the Hoosier State Instigators and the 2024-2025 ABA season. But that'll be lots of fun. It's 4 very, very competitive teams. I'm really looking forward to these matchups. And if we go down here to the power rankings, this is what I think they're going off of when it comes to the uh, the power rankings is how they decided the seed rankings here. So that is ultimately what it came down to, which is an interesting thing to note, because if it does ever come down to that in the future, we do know how it gets decided. So the Fury were #1 on the final power rankings, final 2025 power rankings. Fury #1, Panthers #2. So that clearly makes sense. We got the 1 and the 2. The #3 team was the Gulf Coast Gladiators. They did fall. And they actually fell at the hands of the Austin Bats. However, on the power rankings, they had the Bats down at #7 behind a few different teams with losses. So that is why the Bats would be the #4 seed. And then the Buffalo Extreme, with that one loss, are the #3 seed. So they jump up, since the Gladiators fell, they would jump up to that 3 seed. And then since the remaining teams there are no longer in play, the Bats jump up to that 4 seed. So it goes by the top power rankings when it goes to the seeding for the championship weekend. So just an interesting note to keep in mind for the future. But that gives us some interesting matchups there. And yeah, it'll definitely be a fun matchup there and some great games. I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, if I had to pick, I would go and say I would pick. You got to go with the higher seeds. I feel like, or the yeah. So the one and the two, and then the one. If I'm being honest, that's probably what I'd see. The Fury, I know we know they're a very competitive team. I think they're gonna win that matchup. Extreme, maybe they are the number three seed. They're a one loss team, the only team with a loss. So maybe a chip on their shoulder. Maybe they'll jump on in their way to the championship, or maybe the bats. They feel maybe the bats could feel a little disrespected, being a number four seed, but having still an undefeated record, and maybe they'll pull off the upset here and find their way. But there's definitely four teams capable of winning that championship, all four very deserving teams, and congratulations to all those teams for representing their um, regions, and it'll be a fun weekend. I'm looking forward to it. Next weekend, catching the games for ABA finals and All Star weekend. Jumping back over here, we've got a little bit of news as far as within the Apex Athletic Collective. If you've been catching our streams, and we've been streaming here on both over on the Patreon links as well as the YouTube and our Twitch, Twitch on the Apex Athletic Collective. Some news we got coming out is we'll have some more streams coming out here soon for the Apex Athletic Collective, as we continue to grow and go into that off-season mode. We do plan on bringing back Amateur Night. That was one of our streams last off-season, Amateur Night. If you've got amateur sports footage, or anything basically that could fall under that category, hit us up and let us know what you got, and we can show it on Amateur Night. Let's see, we got that graphic. I still got it, sure. Got that Mystery Science Theater 3000 style graphic there, and we'll myself and Frosty will commentate on the sporting events or whatever events that we do have. I think we do have some baseball games lined up for that. And last season, I said last season of the show, Amateur Night, we also had the Gold Cup games, the IBL Gold Cup games. So looking forward to that. That's always a fun one. A little bit more lax atmosphere with that as far as the broadcast goes. And also a reminder, we are finishing out the rest of our season game broadcasts. So we had a few that we still got to make up. I think tomorrow around noon, we are going to be doing another live stream. So if you get that notification that we are going live tomorrow, that may be what it's for. We've still got a couple games left to hit. I think our last regular season game, the one against the Aces, and then we have that play in game, the one against the Frost. Both of those we still need to get aired. So I think tomorrow we do plan on having that Aces game streamed, and then sometime next week we will have that Frost game going out on a live stream as well, a live rebroadcast, I should say. So if you aren't already subscribed, again, subscribe over to the YouTube and the Twitch to get notifications for those live streams. And then once we go into the off-season streams as well, you'll get notifications for that too, for things such as Amateur Night. And we're working on trying to get some more broadcasts and streams going. One of the other things that we did just announce that will be a new stream. Let's show the promo video that Frosty cooked up for this. Let's hit that one. What is it? The big news graphic real quick, and then we'll jump over and I'll run the promo trailer he's got for one of the upcoming streams from the Apex Athletic Collective. So we got the trailer out there for Dark Web Wrestling, an upcoming stream that will be happening through the Apex Athletic Collective, hosted by Corey, aka Frosty. I believe it's going to be starting next month. We got some fun personalities that will be a part of that. Let me pull up the uh, update here from Frosty himself. It'll be running monthly on the Apex Athletic Twitch as well as its own Twitch channel. And it'll be an RPG run by Corey where people become wrestlers. It's going to be lots of fun. It's going to be really entertaining. And it'll be an interesting a new stream for all of our fellow Apex Athletic Collective fans. And again, this is something the Instigators are one branch of the Apex Athletic Collective. Obviously, we are the Instigators, that we are the professional team currently for the Apex Athletic Collective. We've got a little bit of a share in the Oakland Ballers as well. That's another thing we would like to continue to expand on. Hopefully, eventually, we can get some kind of podcast, broadcast, something along the lines of that, covering the Ballers a little bit more in detail. But that's something we continue to work on. But wrestling is something that we know that a lot of people that are fans of the Apex Athletic Collective are fans of wrestling. So that's one of the avenues and one of the other sports worlds that we do want to jump into. And this is going to be our first venture into that. So I really look forward to this, and I know Corey definitely is excited for it, and Frosty's going to be running that stream, so it'll be lots of fun. But that'll be coming up next month, and it'll be a monthly stream for Dark Web Wrestling. So keep an eye out for that. We'll have official announcements when that comes out. And again, Amateur Night, that should also be coming back out over the off season. We'll be making announcements on that as well. And maybe we'll throw in some other streams here too, since we won't be having the Instigators game streams weekly once we finish up these next two. But that is just a heads up as far as some content that is going to be coming out here for the Apex Athletic Collective in the near future. And then, as I said before, with Amateur Night, we are always looking and open to footage. If you do have some amateur sports footage that you would like aired, hit us up. You can hit us up on any social media as well as over on our Discord. And you can hit us up through the Instigators as well. And just let us know that you have something you'd like us to show. As long as we get the thumbs up from you and everyone involved in the footage, that is good to air. So that is what we got coming up here in the off season. Next week, though, just not in the full off season mode yet, but next week we got the championship weekend coming up, the Final Four, and the All-Star festivities, then the championship game on Sunday. So ABA still one more week left for the 2024-2025 season, and then once we hit that, the following week, we will be in the full off-season mode, which is crazy to think. We have already gone through two full seasons of a professional basketball team with the fan input that we've had, and we continue to grow that. We want to have more and more input and open ourselves up to that here in the future. See how we can continue to do that. But it's also player evaluation is going to be coming out here soon, and we'll make an official announcement over on the Patreon when that does drop. And then same with coaching evaluations; they will be out around the same time too. But that's going to shape our future for season 3. Obviously, year on year, we want to continue to impact, build, and grow. And the impact from season 1 to season 2. Just the player talent pool, the player pool in general has increased. So we're hoping to see the same thing in our 3rd season coming up as well. But that is all shaped by our fans, and as we continue to grow the word of mouth, and we thank everyone who has been a part of the Hoosier State Instigators in this Apex Athletic Collective. Everyone, whether you're on the Patreon, you're a member of the Patreon, you're over on the Discord, you're somebody that catches these on a delay, and you catch them in your free time over on the YouTube, or you're catching it live here on Twitch. We appreciate each and every single one of you, and we want to thank all of our fans as well as all of our sponsors and partners that have supported us through this, and we look forward to seeing how we can continue to grow as we jump into off-season mode. After next week, will be true off-season mode, and hit the ground running with that, and try to get the each year we say this, try to get the things started earlier and earlier so we can have more of that team chemistry going into season 3. But I think that's pretty much it for this week's episode of Instigate Success. But thank you, as always, for joining us again every Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Next week, it will be championship weekend out in St. Louis for the ABA. Championship games, championship 4, I should say, the final 4, start Friday. So a week from today, 3 p.m. Eastern is going to be that first matchup, the Silicon Valley Panthers and the Buffalo Extreme. And then at 6 p.m. Eastern is going to be the Austin Bats against the Chicago Fury. So if we got results for those games, we'll definitely review that and preview a potential championship matchup. And if those games are still running, which there is a possibility, we might try to peep in those and see how things are going there for the Fury matchup. But that is next week. So we'll have some more ABA action to catch up on then. But after that, we got the championship game, and then that'll be it for 2024-2025 season of the ABA. But until then, as always, be great and instigate.